Um, so I just watched something that I thought, if I'm honest with you, I thought, oh, I'm not sure if I want to watch that because Ken Loach films are usually Ken Loach films are usually uh that sort of deep. From memory, I don't think I've watched a Loach film for about a decade now, probably. But I've seen. I'm just gonna pull up a list of Ken Loach films. Um, so it's one of them. It's a little bit not so much Danny Boyle films, but like it's almost like maybe a little bit like Darren Aronofsky films. It's a little bit like um sometimes they're difficult to watch. And when they're difficult to watch, it's here we go. I mean, you did the wind that shakes the barley. Kez, fucking hell. It's been making films since the 60s. Jesus, man, it's been making films since before mum and dad were born. Crazy. Um, but I think that yes, sometimes his films are that they're a little bit difficult to watch because of the subject matter and because they tend to be like quite real, you know. Um, 88 and still making film as well. What a guy. Um, so yeah, so the film that I just watched was called The Old Oak, I think. Yeah, The Old Oak. So before it started, I thought, oh, this might be a bit too deep, I don't know. But it was actually not as deep. It was a deep watchable. And in the last video I did, the last film, I basically said um, that I think that various parts of these films have been using me as inspiration, which is true. It's really fucking weird. I've had people walk up to me in shops and say, "Thank you for your inspiration." People I've never met before. And I've talked about before about stumbling across websites that were made about me, Facebook pages and shit. However, what I'm going to do from this point forwards is just say I can relate to that rather than say I believe that this was based on an aspect of my life. I don't think that this film was based on much to do with me. However, I can relate to a lot in it. So I think that it was the only thing that I would say is maybe it was a very British film, which I find endearing because when you see working class British in film with it not being depicted and represented that often, um, it makes you happy to see it. It also makes you happy to see decent people in within these communities. And the realness of like what happens like when you especially when you try to do something good like the types of the four guys that turned on him, you know, I guess spoiler alert, but like his four mates that turned on him, uh there are so many people out there like that. It's crazy. You know, essentially, like what the guy did in the film was try to bring everybody together and try to open a space where he could bring people together in the community, almost like by accident. He saw that there was issues, and he saw a way to give back. The whole bit where he talked about how he was close to committing suicide, and that uh, you know, it came across dog and whatever, and that made him want to live. And then he's got the whole situation where the Syrians are having a difficult time integrating into the community, and he's sort of always there to not necessarily be a mediator, but to talk to the people from Syria like they're human beings, to break bread with them, just the same as he would break bread with anybody. Root Irish, another good film that he did. Uh, Root Irish. Have I seen Sweet 16? I think so. Um, the front cover looks really familiar. Root Irish, I've definitely seen. That was good. Uh, yeah, I remember that being good. And The Wind That Shakes the Barley, I swear it just said that he made that film. Oh, yeah, The Wind That Shakes the Barley, 2006. Fantastic film, that. Really, really good. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess I can identify with that. I can identify with a lot of the different characters, and I guess that's the best thing about being a human being, and I guess that's the best thing about when film or TV is really good. You know, I've just come off the back of one day I watched three films that I thought were really good. Then I'm watching Game of Thrones or sorry, the House of the Dragon, and I'm thinking this is so pro monarchy and religion. This is so pro, not necessarily pro monarchy and religion, but this is so pro separation of wealth being a good thing, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Um, and then in this film, it's real people, I guess you would call them. Because I can identify with that feeling of like, because I'm not even, I'm half Italian, but like both my parents were born in England, right? So like, but because of both my parents being born in England, me sounding and looking like this, I can identify with people going, why aren't we getting looked after? The bit at the start with the kids when they're not getting a bike, when the Syrian family are getting a bike, and they're going, why don't we get new things? Um, the bit where they want to use that spare room for meetings for them, and the guy that owns the pub says no, and then the Syrian woman and the woman that works for the charity want to use the room to give out free food to people in the community and to try to bring everyone together, and he says yes, and they get offended, and you think, well, like with all this Tommy Robinson shit I've been saying, like, and you know, what was it, like thousands of people showing up to that. I read a report that said 100,000 people. I don't know if that was an overselling of the amount of people that were there, but like, I thought those people need to be listened to. 100,000 people is still 100,000 people. It might be a 60th of the country or whatever, but like, I think 6 million people voted for reform. And I'm going to be honest with you, reforms policies look like they were written by an 8-year-old. Not in the way of like, because I like the Green Party, right? Like, I think that their policies were great. And I don't think it's ridiculous to say, oh, I don't think it's ridiculous to say, that seems like something that's like almost too good to be true. I think as people, we have this concept of it's too good to be true because we're battered down by society so much. You know, the way that the main character in this film was sort of like a lovely guy and seemed to always want to at least do the right thing if he didn't maybe pop a few times. But as somebody that's like lost his wife, friends don't want to speak to him anymore, and then his friends go out of their way to attack his business because they feel like he's being a not a martyr, but they feel like he's being like they feel like he's not looking out for them, and then they sit there and ridicule him after he doesn't know yet, but they've destroyed his business and building, and you think like it's mad, you know. And the thing is, it's relatable because I've had people treat me like that. I've seen people treat other people like that. You know, it's fucked up, man. It's really crazy. Um, but yeah, like I would say that one thing that it felt like it gelled together weirdly. It felt like it was sort of plastered together a little bit. Um, like I think that. the Syrian character, the Syrian female character, the main male character who owned the pub, and the woman who was doing the charity stuff, and the Syrian woman's family, the brother and the mum. I think seeing things like that, where like he fixed her camera so that they were so happy to they wanted to bring him in and offer him tea and stuff, and seeing stuff like that is the sort of like artwork that brings people together, right? I guess. Um, yeah, and then you're angry for him getting let down, but like I can definitely relate to the feeling of like um like especially it's more for me the media that paints things in a way. It's the media saying Muslims are getting away with all not Muslims, but they seem to take the majority of the flack. But like it's the media saying these foreign people, they're getting stuff that you're not getting, and this is your country. You know, that whole ethos. Like, so many old English people that I know that live in Spain and Portugal. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And like, I remember being in Spain at an ex's dad's house, and him literally coming back to England and complaining about the foreigners driving the taxi and how they'd found a white taxi driver and how they were going to use him every time they came to the city. But yet they lived in Spain. Do you know, you know what I mean? It was like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, how can you be living in a different country when you're complaining about how are you living in a different country when you're complaining about immigrants? But you understand these like pains, you understand these, especially older people who have lived here for so much longer and remember a time where there were no immigrants, you know? You understand that shock to the system, but it's about trying to bring everybody together, and you find that like the more stubborn the person, the more unaccepting they are of change. You know, I'm just sort of realizing here that I'm not necessarily like giving a great review of the film, but what I'm doing more is like talking about how I felt. But I guess like you find your niche, don't you? Like, um, find out whatever you want to do. And I guess the part of like how a film makes you feel is well, it's its sole intention, isn't it? But like, yeah, it really I'd say touching film because like you really wanted that guy's life to get better. And the way that the film ends, it doesn't look like that his life is going to get better, but it shows the relationship between the Syrians slash Muslims and the Geordies in that town getting better. You know, so like you think, well, I guess if that's one good thing that comes out of these sort of acts, you know, when people use their kindness for the community, yes, they might have a section of people treating them like shit, but like on a whole, they might be able to bring more people together. Just a weird thing that you get those people tortured. Seems like a crazy thing. Um, but yeah, like all in all, an enjoyable film. I'm not too sure if you're gonna like it if you're not English, and I think that its target audience, I'm guessing its target audience is probably people above like 35 and white. I'm guessing because people under 35, I think, want to see stabbing violence. You know, I can't see they want to laugh at somebody falling over on TikTok. You know, they want to laugh at somebody somebody saying that somebody else is an idiot. You know, that's what they that's what I would say a lot of the younger generation, not all of the younger generation. Whereas and for me personally, like I really like violent films. You can't help what you like, can you? I know that violence is wrong. I know that I don't use it to solve my disputes. However, I do like violent films and I do like violent music. You can't change what shit is, you know. Um, but yeah, so I'd say that the target audience there is probably white men over 35, maybe. Um, and I think that it will touch a few people, you know. I think unfortunately with the films like that, with film, like what that made me look at is what how the way that that made me look at that film is it made me go, there is a point in doing good things when even when there is a point in doing good things for the community or for other people, even when people are trying to drag you down into the dirt and make you feel like you know you're not doing that thing for community, you're doing it for you or whatever other reasons people would say that people are, or you're betraying your own from doing this good thing for a human being, you know. And I guess what that film said to me is there is a reason to do good things and you should keep doing them. That's what that said, and that's a good message to pass on. I don't think it's going to touch too many people who are racist or who won't look at somebody of a different skin color or and with a different accent. I don't think there are too many people that will all of a sudden go, "Oh, I'm not racist now." You know, I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think that there are people that are watching. You know, I don't think there are too many people that are going to want to bring that are you know going to sort of violent rallies or chanting "Who the fuck is Allah?" and you can stick your Islam up your ass and whatever. I don't think guys that are chanting that in the street are going to watch a film like that and go, "Oh, I like him now." You know, um, I think unfortunately for people that behave like that, I think that it's going to be the things that happen in their life that is going to change how they behave. You know, I think it's going to be what they see, what they do, what they feel guilty about in later life. I think that that's what's going to change people that behave like that. And but every film has a purpose, and I'm sure there are a lot of people, maybe like me, who think, uh, fucking, what's the point in being in committing decent acts? You know, what's the point in trying to do? What's the point in being polite? What's the point in being decent? And you think films like that maybe keep those people doing good things, you know? Because there's always going to be shit white people telling you that you're betraying your own. There's always going to be shit Muslims who are on the side of the white people. There's always going to be shit black people. There's always going to be shit people of Chinese people. What the fuck ever. There's going to be shit people of every single race who are going to look at you for doing the things that you do, and they're going to say, whatever these people you know, they're doing that for that reason because they do that. You know, and they also don't want people to mix. They also want everybody separate. Um, so yeah, I guess decent film, decent characters that you wanted to cheer. You know, the three characters in it that I wanted to cheer on, that I wanted their lives to improve. Um, I felt fairly, you know, I felt some when the guy that owned the pub got fucked over, and when the kid was getting beaten up on the when the kid got beaten up at school by the group of like five lads, like I felt for those scenes. I guess again, it's identifying with it, but like it's not even just identifying with being in those situations yourself. It's also identifying with seeing other people getting treated like that. You know, it's identifying with seeing the sorts of men that were in the pub, the sorts of men that create those Facebook groups about people. Um, you know, it's also knowing those people and it's knowing how they talk about decent people. You know. So yeah, all in all, I'd say The Old Oak, decent film. Nice to see something sort of like normal British people not being portrayed as like thick as portraying them accurately. I would say. portraying an area like that pretty accurately. Yeah, good film. Well done, Ken Loach.